10 common mistakes made whilst reading Surah Al-Fatiha. Common mistake number 1. In the ayah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, people tend to read it as Bismillahir Rahmanur Rahim, which is a mistake. There is a kasra under the noon, and the right way to read it, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and not Bismillahir Rahmanur Rahim. Mistake number 2, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. In that ayah, people tend to read it at times as Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, as in they go on to put a sukoon on top of the dal in Alhamd, whilst there's no sukoon there. It's actually a dhamma, where you make the do sound. So the right way to read it, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The wrong way that some people tend to read it, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, which needs to be corrected. Mistake number 3 now. Maliki Yawmiddin. Some people tend to read it again with a sukoon. Malik Yawmiddin. You know, so much to the extent that at times even they are not able to notice it. Malik Yawmiddin almost sounds as if they're reading it the right way, but then if you observe carefully and very, in a vigilant way, you will observe that they're making a subtle sukoon, where they would read Malik Yawmiddin. So the right way to read it, Maliki Yawmiddin. And some people also tend to drag the word Maliki unnecessarily, where they would say Maliki Yawmiddin, which is also not right. The right way to read it, Maliki Yawmiddin. Mistake number 4. And now this is an important ayah, and we tend to notice a lot of people making this mistake. The ayah that needs to be read as Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka, the word Iyyaka, there's a shadda, so there's this layer of emphasis, Iyyaka, Iyyaka, but people tend to read it very loosely. They read it as Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, which entirely distorts the meaning. It changes the meaning from the right meaning, which is, Ya Allah, you alone we worship and you alone we seek help. It changes it from that to, O sunlight, we worship you, O sunlight, we seek help from you. So this is something very serious, and we need to work on correcting this mistake for those who are making this mistake. Moving on to common mistake number 5. If you take the ayah, Ihdina siratal, people tend to make a mistake where they read it as Ihdina saratal. So saratal, that's wrong. The right way to read it is with a kasra over the letter sad. Ihdina siratal. And then the ra too, some people tend to read it as Ihdina sira, flat mouth, whilst it needs to be read round mouth. Ihdina siratal, Ihdina siratal. Common mistake number 6 in the ayah, Alladhina, people tend to read it with a Z sound, Allazina, Z, whilst the right way to read it, because the letter there is the letter Dhal, you need to read it Alladhina, Alladhina. And another mistake that people tend to make is with the word Alladhina and An'amta. They tend to join the two words unnecessarily when reading, and they read it like reading one word, Alladhina An'amta, Alladhina An'amta. The right way to read it, Alladhina An'amta. So basically, Alladhina An'amta alayhim, Alladhina An'amta, first Hamza and then Ain. The next mistake, the next common mistake that people tend to make is with the word Al-Maghdubi. So, Ghayril Maghdubi. They tend to confuse the letter Ghayn with the letter Ain. So they tend to read it Ghayril Ma'dubi, which is wrong. The right way to read it, Ghayril Maghdubi, Ghayril Maghdubi. And then the word Dubi, people tend to, in the word Al-Maghdubi, the part Dubi, they tend to read it as Lubi at times, or Dubi with a dal or a lam, whilst the right way to read it is with the letter Dad. So, Ghayril Maghdubi alayhim. And the last mistake towards the end of the surah that people tend to make is with the word waladda. So there, at times it is read as walad with a dal or walat with a ta. But the right way to read it, because it's a dad, waladda, waladda.